Welcome back to Making Money Matter, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Kerry Stevenson. I've asked Sam Pazuki, he's the CEO and Managing Director of Aumega Metals. The ASX code is AAM. They're also on the TSXV as AUM and the OTC as AUMMF. Lots of letters there. Now, guys, the reason I've asked Sam to come on is it's one I like. It's in Newfoundland, or as my friend that comes from there, Newfie, and it's got a very big landmass, one of the largest landmasses over there in Newfoundland, very close to other producing gold mines. This is all about gold, ladies and gentlemen. They're also B2 Gold have got a 10% stake in them and lots of institutional interest. However, Sam and I are going to have a very, very frank conversation because I don't understand why there is a share price disconnect from what they're doing. Is it because there hasn't been a big discovery? I just want to find out, because you know me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm all about where is the shareholder value. I'm sure Sam is as well. But we're going to have a frank discussion about what's going on, what's happening up there, and what is going to be the future in 2026 for Aumega Metals. Now, some of you may remember they were called Matador Mining back in the day. The new name is Aumega. And as I said, the ASX code is AAM. So sit up, take some notice, because there might be some value here. Not financial advice, as I always say. But if you want to, reach out to Sam and ask the questions that maybe I'm not going to ask in this conversation. Sam, good to see you. Thanks so much for coming on to Making Money Matter. Let's talk all things Aumega. Before we get started, tell us just give us the brief overview, because it's an interesting project. Just not seeing the love.
No, I'm happy to do that, Carrie, and thanks for having me on. It's great to see you, and it's a great platform you have here.
Thank you.
So I mean, we're in Newfoundland, and it's emerging as the next big mining district in Canada. This is what I believed it to be when I first joined the company a few years ago. Despite it being in Canada, this was the opportunity that we saw here with the company. As you mentioned, it's a big land package. It's a district scale land package, and it's on the same structure as what is now a gold mine. They've gone into production just recently. This is the Valentine mine, 5 million ounces. They're still making discoveries. They believe they've got a lot more. We've got resource ourselves. We've got 610,000 ounces at 2 grams, fairly shallow. So it's one of the highest grade shallow resources that's open pittable, I think globally. And then to go along with that, including Cape Ray, which is the name of that project, we've got a total of 1,000 square kilometers of ground. So that's, when you look at any major gold belt on the planet, particularly orogenic systems like the one we're sitting on, there is more than one big deposit sitting on it. And we feel like we're well situated with the land package that we do have and an approach to exploration, which I think this year we've perfected. We'd be able to find not just one, but multiple big deposits on it. That's our conviction and that's our belief. And these things do take time. And we're a small company, and it does require capital to get you there.
Well, speaking of capital, have you got funds in the bank at the moment? Because you need funds to go drilling. And what I'm seeing at the moment, and I'll just be frank with you, you're good at finding the smoke, but we haven't yet found the fire. So how are you going to be doing that? Because your market cap at the moment, I said it before, there seems to be a share price disconnect. You just said large land package, the Valentine mine gone into production, 5 million ounces of gold. You've got, what do you say, 610 ounces shallow, averaging 2 grams. I'm trying to work out why the market isn't loving you, but B2 Gold have got 10%, so they clearly taking a little punt here as well. What I understand from my audience is what is this disconnect? Do you need to go harder with the drill bit? Where's the funding? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think you mentioned a few things there.
I did.
What I'll latch on to is the comment about the smoke. And I have said this. I mean, we're not going to mask our performance. We're not going to mask who we are. We've got high conviction in the opportunities we have, but we've been very good at finding smoke. I'd say we're almost the experts in finding smoke. And the name of the game here is to find the fire. Smoke is good. It
Yeah.
tells you there is fire, but we haven't yet made that discovery. And that's what people are waiting for. Um, I've been here for 3 years and we have advanced things along. And again, we've discovered smoke, but we haven't yet sourced the fire. Now, the land package is great because you have a lot of opportunities to make that discovery. There's, we think, different pods of fire across the belt. But again, I think I underappreciated that we've got this land package. And while it's great to have that opportunity, it's also a double-edged sword in that you have to be able to stay focused
Hmm.
and be able to service the ground that you do have. So one way to think about it, we have about 9 projects in the portfolio. Most junior companies would have maybe one of those, would have a project the scale of one of the projects we have in the portfolio. So it's a lot easier for them to focus, but all their eggs are in that basket. And as you know, Kerry, I mean, exploration, it is a risky business. It's a 0 or 1, and most exploration companies end up at 0. The
Yeah.
vast majority of them do. I like to think we've got a portfolio of 0 and 1s, and we are well supported, as you mentioned. B2 Gold owns 10%. Half our register are institutions from around the world. So we are well funded. We are well supported. We do exploration, unlike, I'd say, the vast majority of explorers, at least in Canada, in that we explore things systematically. But ultimately, what drives share price is drill results, our drill results, and discovery. We've done a little bit of drilling, not a whole lot. And in the drilling that we've done, we haven't hit anything that I label internally, at least, as market success. But the more work you do, the closer you get to that point. And again, we've found smoke, and I feel like we're getting closer to the fire, but we haven't yet discovered the fire.
Sam, before you joined Omega, you were with Oceana Gold. What is it about Omega that caught your attention and had you say, do you know what? I know that there's something here and I'm going to find it? Because you just said a moment ago, you've been there 3 years. I don't know. Do you need to go harder? What was it about it?
Yeah.
And what can you do to, I guess, drive it a bit quicker, maybe?
I wish it was quicker. I'm a patient person, but yeah, I wish this happened 3 years ago. And there's a number of reasons why it hasn't. At the end of the day, it also comes down to geology. You can't make it up. It's either there or it's
True.
not there.
Yeah.
We believe it's there. It's our ability and our funding capacity to be able to go and find it and to do so in a as quickly as you can. What drew me to the opportunity was I was in charge of corporate development with Oceana Gold, and we were scouring the planet looking for opportunities to grow the business. And I'd say we looked at about 100 projects during the time that I was there, and we said no to 99% of them. Most of the time, of the 99% we said no to, 98% of them were because the geology just didn't stack up to what we were looking for. But then one of the number one criterias we had, or the criteria we had was jurisdiction, but also district scale. That was a term that we used often. So we were looking for opportunities where there was not just one mine or one big deposit. It had the potential to be a district, like the Carlin Trend or Bendigo,
Yep.
the Victorian Goldfields
Yep.
or WA. And we look at Oceana's portfolio, they've got the good projects that are there in New Zealand. They've got a big land package in the Philippines, and they're the only player in South Carolina on what was the first gold belt in the United States. Unfortunately, but fortunately, nobody had told me about Matador. So when a headhunter had reached out to me about the opportunity, I'd never actually even heard of Matador, even though we actually had a good look at Valentine when we were evaluating opportunities. And So my initial thought was angry at my director of business development for not identifying this opportunity. But I was very intrigued with the prospects of what Matador has, which is what we have today. So district scale land package already has a resource. It's tough when you don't have a resource because what do you underpin your value to? We've got one. Frankly, just on the ounces alone, we're undervalued, but we've got a resource. A strong board of professionals who've created value. At the time, Ian Murray was with the company, and Justin Osborne is currently our chairman. Both were with Gold Road, created significant value there. And so we've got a fantastic board, and it ticked a lot of boxes. I'm an engineer, so to go from producer to explorer is not, I don't put my hand up for that. It's just, you talked about patience. You have to have patience in exploration, and engineers don't typically have patience. You just have to get on with it and build it and mine it.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. So talk to us about, you said you've done very little drilling. So what have you been doing?
Yeah, so again, when you look at the history of Cape Ray, so the resource that we do have, when I first joined, even prior to me joining, I saw that there was a lot of drilling. There's been about 100,000 meters of drilling at Cape Ray to come up with the resource that we currently report. So I felt that that's a lot of drilling, and to continue to drill it would be incremental growth. And that's not going to move the dial for shareholders. You got this big land package, and that frankly, it was just discussed as just this big land package, but very little had been done to explore it. Matador, under Ian's leadership, had done a little bit of work at a project called Malachite, and there was definitely a lot of smoke at Malachite. So when I joined, and with board support, we said, okay, let's actually be one of the first companies to not do the same thing and explore the belt. Let's go see what else is lurking, see what else we have. That's always a risky thing to do because you're moving away from the easy stuff. And Carrie, if you look at the history of Cape Ray with all that drilling, the 6 companies that held that project prior to Matador / Omega, they just drilled the same things. And so one of the things I learned about a year and a half ago was that, because we've been doing a lot of analysis on Cape Ray, because there's a lot of data there and it just hadn't been properly analyzed. There was no proper geological model. There was no even 3D model. But one of the things that we learned was that 99% of the drilling that's been done has been actually done inside the pit shell. So very little. Yeah, so very little in terms of, I say very little to no step out drilling. The resource, 95% of it is less than 200 meters from surface, and much of the drilling is at that depth. So there hasn't even been much drilling deep or along strike. So last year we put a few holes deep just to test down
How
strike.
deep?
We got as deep as 500 meters on one hole,
Okay.
and we hit mineralization. We hit mineralization on every hole that we drilled. And we put a couple more this year just to test a few things, and we've hit mineralization. So this system is still open, a long strike and down plunge, but it only took us, again, we moved away and we had to do this critical analysis for us to be able to determine that, hey, you know what? Not too far away from where we have a resource, there is actually a potential to move the dial. And so that's then split our efforts where, I mentioned that I feel like we've now perfected the approach to exploration, where it's a strategy where we do focus back at Cape Ray, but also build up the greenfields exploration targets.
My question would be, you said it before, you've got quite a large district scale package there. Why don't you just zero in, focus on Cape Ray, get some shareholder value with that, and then move outwards? And again, I come back to the fact that there's very little love for Aumega Metals at the moment. I'm sorry to be blunt, but I think people they want to understand the strategy, especially I'm talking to you, can you believe it? Coming into December, they want to know that there's a clear strategy and a news flow going forward into 2026 and where that shareholder value is going to be coming from.
That's right.
Focus in more.
Yeah. So again, we've been tinkering with the strategy, and I feel like we're in a good spot now in terms of what is our path forward. So we see it as sort of a three-pillar strategy. One is the resource itself. We have 610,000 ounces at 2 grams. This is a resource we updated a couple of years ago, and it was done at $1,750 gold. So we're in a very different gold environment. So on gold price alone, we should expect theoretically, and I got to be careful what I say, is that presumably there's more gold that gets captured in a larger pit because of the gold price. With the holes we've drilled, we see extension potential at depth. When you look at it, sort of a long section or cross section, we see that there's very little in terms of drilling. Some places no drilling in between the different ore shoots that we do have within the resource. So we are looking at the resource. We're looking at structural controls, mineralized controls. We're looking at where the gaps are. When we did the resource a couple of years ago, we did identify some interesting gaps, which if you had just put one hole in between, you could tie a couple things together and add ounces fairly quickly. We do see a material amount of silver on the property, and we don't have a silver resource. So we're in the process right now of evaluating or reevaluating that resource and making that a good part of our strategy for at least the first half of next year. So it would be analysis, data, sort of recutting the resource, but also punching in a few additional holes to increase, basically ultimately increase the resource that we do have. The second pillar of the strategy, do you want to ask a question there, or do you want me to
No,
just
keep going.
articulate?
Keep going.
Okay,
I'll put
so
it at the back of my head.
yeah, so the second pillar is around the discovery. This is the major discoveries that we're looking for. So when we identified that much of the work done at Cape Ray has been in the pit shell, we
Yep.
did come back to Cape Ray. We did start looking more broadly at Cape Ray, but closer to the resource. And we've identified a number of different areas that we've advanced along. We've put out some news. We've identified a multi-kilometer gold trend in a place called Cape Ray West, which is a few kilometers to the west of our resource. We've identified a dozen EM anomalies. And we did this because Central Zone, which is where most of our gold is hosted in a graphitic schist and has a good EM response. So we were looking to see if that signature shows up anywhere else. And sure enough, there was about a dozen places where it did, including one area just half a kilometer to the southeast, which was a massive EM anomaly, which we're currently drilling. So we're growing the pipelines of drill targets, and many of them are actually in Cape Ray. So the second pillar of the strategy is around discovery of these drill-ready targets, one of which we're drilling currently. The third part of it is more greenfields related. So it's, the sky behind me in the image, it's the blue sky. I'd say, we did take a step back this year from, some of the drilling we were doing to get better conviction on what we drilled. And I like to say we were digging up Newfoundland to identify drill targets. So the third pillar of the strategy is to continue to build drill-ready targets in a greenfield setting that we can advance into the second stage, which is discovery. And that, I believe, we've done a lot of work, and we're waiting for a lot of assays to come back. But it would basically be will basically underpin that strategy, and that's our path forward into 2026 and beyond.
You just said assays pending. When are we looking at some of those coming back? Is that are you quite confident that that's going to potentially wake the market up a little bit? Because I said right at the start, you're not getting a lot of love at the moment, but you have got a very big landmass there. You've got a lot of a long strike. And as you said right at the start, the Valentine mine's gone into production. It's got 5 million ounces and growing. And you're on the same structure. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
So
yeah, that's
when
right.
are these assays going to start coming back? Because that might begin to wake the market up a little bit.
Yeah, well, interestingly, when we put out our EM anomaly announcement in early October, the share price doubled. I mean, there was very strong buying interest. We believe there was a big fund that couldn't get enough Omega shares. And then a week, 10 days later, we put out the results on the Cape Ray West, which I felt was a better news release than the one before because we've got a multi-kilometer gold trend that we've identified, brand new, in an area that everybody had said is not mineralized. We've determined that it's mineralized with gold anomalism on the fringes of a massive intrusive unit that everyone said was not mineralized, but we've confirmed it is.
Okay.
And a recent meeting we had with our largest shareholder, who's also the largest shareholder of Snowline in Canada, which is a 9 million ounce billion-dollar market cap company. They said that that's a similar geological setting they had that we have to them before they started to drill, and the rest is history for Snowline. When we saw the results, we covered the entire granite, the massive intrusive unit. This basically is the image. It's that thing right here in the
Oh, yeah.
photo.
Yep.
Yeah, that it's 5 kilometers in diameter. So this thing is huge. And so we've covered it with more tills, and we're waiting for the assays to come back from that work.
When
And
you
we
say
do
you covered it
expect
with more tills, sorry, that's a term I don't know.
basically geochemical sampling. So it's glaciated material that we've sampled, like soil samples is another way to think of it. And we mapped it out. We identified some massive structures. The guys were only equipped with a hammer, so they couldn't properly sample it. They need a saw, so we need to go back in there because we don't typically see veins that thick, and we saw some pretty massive structures that need
Why
to be
aren't you
properly.
back there right now?
Weather,
Oh,
weather's the
okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think we'd all rather be in Gold Coast right now doing the work than in Newfoundland, where we're transitioning from fall to winter. Um,
So
so yeah, that's
can you not do very much right now? Is it just like forget it? It's all covered in snow and it's impossible to work there at the moment. Is that right?
there's very little snow. But we are drilling, so we're drilling EM anomaly. It's not too far away from this intrusive unit behind me in the image. But we have ground access for that drilling, so it's easier to get to. It's less disruptive due to weather. But it's right now what you get in Canada when you transition from fall to winter is not so much snow, but you get, the wind and the freezing rain. So the ice doesn't help, which, if you're using a helicopter, which we would need to access this, the ice on blades isn't usually a healthy thing for the machine.
Right.
So snow is actually good. I mean, we've done some winter drilling, and when there is snow cover, if you're set up properly, you can actually do a lot of good things during the winter time. I don't believe we'd be able to get to this in the winter. I think it's more of a spring/summer drill program. We'll have drill targets. We have drill targets, and we plan on drilling this thing. But we are waiting for assays to come back from that survey we did on this
Okay,
granite
so when
beyond.
are they coming back?
We expect that it would be this quarter.
And
Um,
still thinking that?
Pardon me. The
So
the
imminent.
I wouldn't say imminent, but it's not too far away.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. It's not like a Christmas announcement.
Okay.
It'd be, I think before people sort of head off for the Christmas break is our expectation.
Okay. All right.
When we, but that's just one area that we're waiting on TILs, our geochemical sampling program, where we're actually drilling. Much of it's under bog, and that's part of the reason why for 20 years people walked past this thing and drove past this thing and didn't do much or any exploration whatsoever. But when we saw that EM anomaly, we see it light up. To the northeast of it, on the fringes of this EM anomaly, is a 111-gram sample that no one had bothered following up on. So we've done a survey over that area, again, mapping, rock sampling, soil sampling, and we're getting that information now, which is helping us on where we put drill rigs. So we started drilling last week with one rig, and then we just announced yesterday that we've deployed a second drill rig, and I'm happy to say that we started drilling that on today, which is Wednesday. for context. So we've got 2 drill rigs, and we're going to drill as much as we can before the Christmas break. We
Okay.
likely won't get assays back from this drill program until I'd say as we drill, we're going to send it out to the lab. So I'd say from early January to end of January, we should start to see results come in from the drill program. One of the greenfields projects called Bunker Hill. We basically dug up this massive project in the same sort of survey that I mentioned. We've got about 70% of the results back, which look really interesting. We're waiting for the rest of it to come back, but we will have drill targets at Bunker Hill. Hermitage, which is another massive project we've got in the portfolio on a different structure, one that looks like Bendigo and Fosterville. It's the largest antimony anomaly in Newfoundland. So we did another survey. We dug up the central part of it where we see good gold and antimony values. We spent 2 weeks there in October. We've completed that program, and we'll wait for assays to come back, which we expect would be in 2020, early 2026. So yeah, there's a lot happening. We're still waiting for a lot of news. And I think once we get all the news out, that's not drilling related, you'll see that the pipeline of drill ready targets has grown. And then fingers crossed, what we're drilling right now is going to deliver something that the market could get their head around. And
Yeah.
as you've heard, you've probably heard before, Carrie, you're always one drill hole away from changing the story.
I've absolutely heard that, and that's why I was curious as to this, as I said right at the start, the share price disconnect, because it does appear, as I said before, you are on the same gold belt as the Valentine mine that is in production with 5 million ounces and growing, and you're along the same gold belt. So for me, I'm looking at going, well, there's an opportunity with the neurology at the very least. The other thing that I was curious about was Nikki Adshead Bell. She's a very smart cookie, and she's on board. So you've got Justin Osborne, you've got Nikki. So these people are not stupid, ladies and gentlemen. They understand where there could be a big opportunity. So I was interested in that. Look, we're running out of time. Last question for you before I ask you to wrap it up and tell us 3 reasons.
Right.
Yep.
I just want to make a comment around the board. It is a
Yep.
phenomenal board. And
It is a phenomenal board.
the other person that just recently joined the board is James Whitall. He joined us a couple months ago. He was the ex-CEO of Rupert Resources, which basically took it from zero to $1 billion market cap company through the discovery of Ikkari, which is in Finland. So James was instrumental in that discovery. He's also a former fund manager from Baker Steel, where he was there for 12 years. And a lot of people don't know this because it's not like we put a press release out on this, but James reached out to me in April and said, "I think this is the next Rupert, and
Huh?
I've just come out of hiding. I'm looking for the next opportunity, and would love the opportunity to be on this board." And so, yeah, when a guy like James says that this is the next Rupert and he's got the experience and success that he's had, you take him as quickly as you can. And he and I were at site a month ago, and I'd say his conviction in the opportunity only grew after visiting the site.
Sam, come 2026, let's get you and James to do a double header for me, because I'd love our audience to find out, why he's joined. And as you say, the excitement around, I'm just about to sneeze, which is always interesting when you're in the middle of an interview. Last question for you, if you wouldn't mind. B2 Gold, 10%. Do they have much say in what you're doing, or are they just almost like a silent partner in the background?
We could treat them as a silent partner, but we haven't. It's a 10% investment from a few years ago. They follow their money every single financing that we've done. They're very supportive. They have all the data that we have. They model it up in their computers. If we need some ideas, we call them up, say, "Hey, we see this. What are you seeing on your screen?" They pull it up, they look at it, they give us suggestions. So I like to think that even though their investment in us is at the corporate level, the relationship feels more like a joint venture where they
Okay.
do have a say. We're open to having their involvement, and they're a team that's made some big discoveries in their lives,
They
and
have.
they have, and they've created a lot of shareholder wealth for their investors, and for them to recognize what we have early on, and they moved quick. They saw, they liked, and they moved quick. and they've continued to support is, I think, like if you're looking for due diligence, I mean, the big company with smart people have already done that for shareholders. And frankly, Kerry, they've done that for me being a non-geo. So it's
Right.
another sounding board to tell me, yeah, you know what, Sam, you're in the right spot here. And frankly, we are doing the right things. You need a bit of luck in this space as well too. And you create your luck by using the data to get you to an area, but then you need luck to actually hit the fire.
Well, as I said before, a lot of smoke, not the fire yet, but I want to keep talking to you and uncovering
Mhm.
it for my audience out there to find out what you've got. We've also got a lot of people that watch now from North America. So you're listed on the TSXV as well, which is under the code AUM, and on the ASX, it's AAM. Sam, wrap it up for me. Give us 3 reasons, short, sharp, succinct, why you think people should sit up and be taking notice of Aumega right now.
Well, I'd say we're one of the most undervalued gold stocks that hasn't participated in the gold rally. On the basis of just our resource itself, we're significantly undervalued relative to peers that have a resource. There's some companies, even in Newfoundland, that just on pure neurology and some sniffs of rocks, they're trading at 3 times our market cap. So definitely a lot of value here to be unlocked. We've got a team, whether it be the board or management, that are highly experienced, that have probably made 30 million ounces of discoveries in their respective careers. We're well supported with B2 Gold and institutional investors, so they're helpful with respect to ensuring we're well financed, well funded, well supported to make the next big discovery in Newfoundland. And yeah, it does take time. We haven't been successful yet, but as I said before, you're only one drill hole away from turning everything around. And I'd say after 3 years, my conviction in the opportunity has only grown.
And I was just going to finish it up by saying he has got strong conviction that this area is a district-sized gold belt, and it's been proven with the Valentine mine on along the same belt. So that's why I was keen to get Sam on the program for you guys to have a look. As I said right at the start, this is not financial advice. Pick up the phone to Sam, do your own research. But I just think it's a really interesting time, especially in what I'm looking at as a gold bull market, which will continue. Sam, great to chat to you. We'll look forward to seeing you again very soon, either over Zoom or in person. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Kerry. Thanks for the opportunity.